August 6th, 2021. A 23-year-old girl left her house and said, "I'll be back in a few hours." But she never returned. 2 days later, her body was found in some bushes, with 14 stab wounds on her neck. This is the Megan Newborough murder case, a story of trust, obsession, and a horrifying betrayal. Megan Newborough's story begins in September 1997, in the town of Nuneaton, Warwickshire, England, when a daughter was born to Ellen and Anthony Newborough. Born on September 10, 1997, this baby was named Megan, and she was the youngest of her parents' 3 children, with an older sister, Claire, and an older brother, John. Ellen and Anthony raised their daughter with immense love and affection. Megan spent her childhood in Nuneaton, where her parents provided her with a safe and loving environment. The family called her Princess, and she was everyone's darling. Her mother, Ellen, remembers that Megan had very big and beautiful eyes that would draw people to her. From childhood, Megan was a sensitive and kind-hearted girl. She was always ready to help others and had an amazing ability to understand people and value their feelings. As she grew up, this nature of hers only blossomed. In school, she was not only smart in her studies, but also extremely popular among her friends. Megan was the kind of girl everyone wanted to talk to, because she knew how to listen and made people feel important. During her school years, Megan's dreams began to take root. She kept a diary, with pink and blue butterflies on its cover. In this diary, she had neatly written down her life goals. It wasn't just a diary. It was a mirror to her soul, in which she had cherished every wish, every dream. She wrote that one day she would fall in love, that she would have a family. She had even thought of names for her future children and had written down thoughts about her wedding. Besides this, her list included dreams of seeing the world. She wanted to go skydiving, run a marathon, go on a cruise on a river, eat an entire cake by herself, own a chinchilla, and most beautifully, she wanted to see baby turtles hatch from their eggs on a beach. All these dreams reflected her huge heart and her immense love for life. After finishing school, Megan started her career, stepping into the field of human resources. Her empathy and her art of connecting with people were perfectly suited for this field. After some time, she got a job at Ibstock Brick Company in Leicestershire, where she worked as an HR advisor. This job was the start of a new chapter for her. She still lived with her family in Nuneaton and was advancing in her professional life. Her family circle was very close-knit, and she was everyone's support system. According to her father, Anthony, Megan was the glue that held the family together, always there for everyone. In late June 2021, Megan met a young man in her own office. His name was Ross McCullum. Ross, who was 7 years older than her, worked as a lab assistant in the company's laboratory. They first met when Megan went to audit the laboratory, and soon they started talking. The conversation was flirtatious and quickly turned into thousands of WhatsApp messages. Megan told her family about this new friend and even went to meet him several times. Her father, Anthony, once told her, "Be careful with these boys." But Megan, a confident 23-year-old, replied, "You don't need to worry about me." Ross McCullum had his own separate and complicated world. He lived with his parents at their home on Windsor Close in Colville. He had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, for which he took medication, but a few weeks before Megan's murder, he had stopped taking it because he felt it was affecting his sleep and sex drive. His colleagues testified that when he wasn't on his medication, his behavior became extremely immature, defiant, and crude. Besides this, he carried a deep psychological trauma. He had told a coworker that he was sexually abused as a child, something he had never told anyone. He also revealed that one of his abusers was Stephen Beedman, who was convicted in 2015 for the rape and murder of a schoolgirl, Kylie Hewwood. This information sheds a horrifying light on his mental state and his violent tendencies. The relationship that formed between Megan and Ross was unequal from the start. Because of her natural kindness, Megan wanted to understand his problems and perhaps felt she could help him. Her father later said, "She saw the best in people, which is why she got involved with the man who took her life." Megan lost her life trying to help someone, but Ross's feelings for Megan soon took a dark turn. According to the prosecution, in the days leading up to the murder, his messages took on a rapidly obsessive and sexually explicit tone. He had even shown Megan's nude photos to his co-workers, which she would have found incredibly inappropriate. Around this time, he planned for them to meet over a weekend. On August 3, 2021, Ross messaged Megan, inviting her to his house on Friday night. He mentioned that his parents wouldn't be home. The plan was made for privacy and seclusion. Megan, who by now saw Ross as a potential partner, agreed to the meeting. But Ross had something else on his mind. Just a day before the murder, on August 5th, he started acting strangely at work, like throwing clay around, a sign of his deteriorating mental state. That Friday evening, August 6, 2021, was the last normal evening for Megan's family. At around 7:30 p.m., Megan got into her white Citroën C3 car and left Nuneaton for Colville. She had told her parents she would be back in a few hours. She arrived at Ross's house around 8 p.m. What happened inside is harrowing to even imagine. Within the next 30 to 40 minutes, the light of Megan's life was extinguished forever. A terrible act of violence occurred in the front room of the house. Ross first strangled her with his hands. Even after she was unconscious or dead, Ross's cruel mind wasn't satisfied. He went to the kitchen and got a large knife. He stabbed Megan in the neck, not once, but a full 14 times. Later, in his statement to the police, he coldly said he did it to make sure she was dead. Forensic examination revealed that her hair was so soaked in blood that police officers initially thought she had red hair. Megan's family believed Ross had tried to decapitate her. So deep and numerous were the wounds on her neck. The scene after the murder was nothing short of barbaric. Ross, who didn't even have a driver's license, loaded Megan's body into her own car. Before that, he had packed clean clothes to change into, showing his premeditated thinking. He also tried to clean the bloodstains from the carpet. In the darkness of night, he drove Megan's car to a remote country road, Charlie Road near Woodhouse Eaves, and dumped her body in some bushes behind a wall. On his way back, he threw Megan's iPhone into some bushes on Hermitage Road, Colville, but made a big mistake. He didn't turn it off. Unaware of this mistake, Ross took his next steps. He left Megan's car in the parking lot of a leisure center in Leicester. There, in full view of CCTV cameras, he changed out of his and Megan's blood-soaked clothes, dumping them in trash cans. Afterwards, he went to the city center and took a taxi back to Colville, but didn't get off right in front of his house, getting off a bit earlier to avoid neighbors' attention. All this time, Ross was playing a horrifying game. Immediately after the murder, he texted his mother that he had changed his plans to have a beer with a friend and was staying home, trying to create a false alibi. That same night, while Megan's body lay on his living room floor or while he was disposing of it, he messaged her phone, "You're amazing," and "I love you." He even left a voicemail on her phone, saying, "I love you," while laughing. The next day, Saturday, he sent more messages to Megan asking if she had gotten home safely, as if he were worried about her. It was all a cunningly woven web to keep the police away from him. When Megan hadn't returned home by Saturday morning, the ground crumbled beneath her parents' feet. They started calling her, but there was no answer. With growing anxiety, they contacted the police. Meanwhile, Megan's brother John started trying to locate her phone using a tracking app. He was shocked to see that the phone's last location pointed to an area near a farm in Colville. They immediately gave this information to the police. In the early hours of Sunday, August 8th, around 3 a.m., police searching the area found Megan's body in the bushes near Charlie Road. Part of her body was naked, and the 14 stab wounds on her neck were clearly visible. The police investigation progressed rapidly. The location of Megan's phone and CCTV footage started to close in on Ross. His CCTV image changing clothes in the leisure center parking lot that night was clear. On Sunday morning itself, police arrested Ross McCullum on suspicion. When questioned, he immediately confessed to killing Megan and told them where he had dumped her body. But he tried to defend himself by saying he hadn't planned to kill her, that he just lost control in anger. After his arrest, Ross told police he strangled Megan and then cut her throat with a knife to make sure she was dead. Despite this confession and the evidence, he denied the murder charge and only pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He claimed that at that moment, the trauma of childhood sexual abuse, PTSD, had overwhelmed his mind, causing him to lose control and kill Megan. The trial began at Leicester Crown Court. On October 31, 2022, the prosecution presented its arguments, calling Ross a cunning and resourceful killer who, after the murder, had cold-bloodedly planned and executed a cover-up to destroy evidence and mislead. Prosecutor John Kamek KC stated that Ross had begun a carefully calculated and executed course of action immediately after the murder. He told the court that Ross had exchanged thousands of messages with Megan, with his tone becoming rapidly more obscene and obsessive. Several shocking revelations came to light during the trial. Ross's co-worker, Joe Howard, testified that Ross had shown him nude photos of Megan and once told him about being sexually abused as a child. Another colleague, Graham Fison, testified that Ross told him one of his abusers was Stephen Beedman, the man convicted for the Kylie Hewwood murder. Ross himself testified, claiming that during intimacy with Megan that night, childhood memories flooded back and he erupted like a volcano. But the prosecution rejected his claim. They argued that his behavior after the murder was not that of an out-of-control person, but of a cold-minded criminal who knew exactly what he needed to do. They pointed out that just hours after the murder, Ross had searched the internet for violent killers and watched pornography. This undermined his claim about his mental state. After a trial lasting about 6 weeks, on December 12, 2022, the jury delivered its verdict. After just 90 minutes of deliberation, the jury found Ross McCullum guilty of murdering Megan Newborough. Then, on December 16, 2022, the sentence was pronounced at Leicester Crown Court. Before the sentencing, Megan's family read their heartbreaking statements in court. Her sister Claire, addressing Ross, said, "I hope she haunts you. You are an unpredictable danger, a danger to women." Her father Anthony, with tears in his eyes, said, "We are a large and close family, torn apart by an evil person. The thought that Megan must have been so frightened in her final moments breaks us." He said his daughter had trusted her attacker, and that very trust led to her death. Judge Philip Head sentenced Ross to life in prison, stating he must serve at least 23 years before being eligible for parole. The judge described Megan as a stellar individual and said getting into a relationship with him was her terrible misfortune. He called the knife attack a very serious aggravating factor and said Ross had made sure his intention was carried out in a terrible and persistent way. But the story didn't end there. The Solicitor General referred Ross's sentence to the Court of Appeal, arguing it was unduly lenient. Their argument was that the murder had a sexual element, as Ross had sent Megan obscene messages and watched pornography after the killing, so he should have received a minimum term of 30 years. However, in March 2023, the Court of Appeal rejected this appeal, stating the trial judge had made no error in setting the sentence. Megan's family was left stunned and shocked by this decision. Her father Anthony said the provision for a 15-year minimum term for taking a life is too low and needs to be changed. Even today, for Ellen and Anthony Newborough, time stopped on August 6, 2021. They run the Megan Newborough Foundation in her memory, helping victims of domestic abuse. They are trying to fulfill the dreams written in her diary. Her sister went skydiving, and the family participated in a park run instead of a marathon. By their front door, 3 pairs of Megan's shoes are still on display. Her father, Anthony, said softly, "They're her shoes. It gives me comfort." Megan Newborough, in her short life, found a place in millions of hearts, but the story of the man who killed her, and his cruelty, will continue to raise questions about law and justice for years to come. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Stay with us for more true stories like this. Thank you.